Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters video. Alright, let's go ahead and let's do another entry here. This one based on one of your newer suggestions. I see a lot of suggestions this go around too, so thank you so much for placing them there. I'm going to do a whole bunch of videos on this, so be on the lookout for a lot more coming throughout this week and next week too. This one I picked because once I was reading this information of it, I just instantly fell in love with it. It's the whole notion having to do with dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs, you love dinosaurs. They're so fascinating because they're just these amazing set of creatures that used to walk on this earth that one wishes they could still be around to this day. Obviously, that's a huge reason why the Jurassic Park and the most recent Jurassic World movies are just so big when it comes to their box office and the appeal for them. Everybody loves dinosaurs, and in this case, this particular monster has to do with something that is very reminiscent to, in this case, the infamous and famous Velociraptor. I've already done a video on the Buronjura, which remains one of my most favorite, most beloved ones yet in the past. I'll put the link below because it resembles the T-Rex. This one though has to do with the raptor, and you're looking at it now and you'll see the instant resemblance to it. It's known as the Arica monster. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the great info associated with this purported dinosaur living there in South America. So what is this Arica monster? Well, depending on the interpretations of it, it looks most likely, not exactly, but most likely to the concept of a raptor. In this case, interestingly enough, and I read this years back, the raptor itself in real life was actually much smaller than it was within the Jurassic Park world, like the Jurassic Park film world. But apparently more dinosaur bones have been found showcasing larger raptors. So it's a weird way of life imitating art and so forth. So here in this case though, the stating that this could be in this case a raptor is still very close to being true if you followed along the lines of the newer bones showcasing larger items. But in this case, of course, we're talking about something that's actually living. This could be a descendant of the Velociraptor that just grew into a larger dinosaur. Here's essentially how it looks. Apparently this is a 6-foot tall bipedal creature, definitely something that has these thick, just massive legs on it. Again, much like a raptor in the films, they use those powerful legs to jettison forward when it comes to going after their prey. They are said to have these 3-toed footprints, this skin that looks obviously like very lizardy, a kangaroo type body, almost in some cases imitating an emu as well, and then its face definitely stands out too. It seems to have like this pointed kangaroo, almost dog-like face as well. And the way that it walks, the way that it runs, everybody that has seen the Jurassic Park films states that's how this creature also mimics the way that it walks too. So looking at all the indications, it definitely points to the fact that this could be yet another dinosaur somewhere out there in this world living in unclaimed territories, just somewhere there in vast areas that people don't frequent too often, but when they do so, they run across this one. Specifically, you would have to go to Chile, there in South America, to a place called Atacama Desert, and there's also a place nearby there called Arica, hence the name of it, of the Arica monster. This Atacama Desert, though, is very hazardous. It's supposed to be one of the driest regions, not just within that area, but within the entire world. Very little water. In fact, water is so scarce there that you would have to go into these caves. That's where this creature, this Arica monster, apparently makes its home, which would make sense, because if you have something like this in the driest area in the world, it would naturally go into a place that's cool and at the same time clearly have something involving water so it could survive. And of course, having something like this very dangerous creature, it would make its home pretty easily, especially because of the fact that its most powerful feature that people described are those sharp toes that this thing has, whatever this Arica monster is. Much like a raptor, it has those giant toes on the bottom that seem to have those talons, ready, in other words, to make an attack, use them to pierce any kind of creatures, and then just pin them down, rip them open, and then go to work when it comes to eating the thing alive. Again, I love the world of dinosaurs. They're so scary. Imagine seeing something like this in real life, but you can't just help looking at it in awe whenever you see the power that this creature has as it runs about. I mean, it would be it's one of those situations where you know this shouldn't excite you, but at the same time it does if you see something like this out there in the real world. Some people, in fact, have come across this. In fact, here are some of the examples. There's multiple of them, too, of people that stated they saw this Arica monster. All of them seem to follow the same path when it comes to how this creature looks, how it acted, and so on. In 2004, for example, there was a Spanish family that encountered this creature as they were driving to Arica. They went by the last name of Abet de la Torre Diaz family. 4 of them, or I think it was a group of 4, that were within their car. There they were driving around whenever they in turn were encountered by not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 of these Arica monsters. And these things were clearly on the hunt because they actually surrounded this family's car. And so I don't know if this was during the day or if this was during the night, presumably during the day, because they were able to get a very good look at these creatures, so much so that they're the ones that further describe them as being dog-faced, kangaroo-like creatures. But fortunately for them, these Arica monsters, did not do anything bad. They just simply circled the car itself, and then they seem to have left thereafter. Imagine that sight, again, like straight out of the Jurassic World movie, when you have something like this just circling your car, peering in, knowing that something bad, clearly bad, could happen thereafter. But no, in this case they were able to survive. Other times people have seen these creatures move across the roads just nonchalantly, almost like they're just moving from point A to point B, either oblivious to the oncoming traffic or knowing that it's there but not really caring thereafter. But yes, other times that's how people have seen these creatures. There was one other person, in fact a military officer by the name of Hernan Cuevas. He spotted 2 of these creatures, and they were as a group. It seems like this was also a pack of these creatures that were out there. And he also described them as follows, as being like huge beasts, almost like 2-legged dinosaurs with huge thighs. Again, definitely mimicking the velociraptor that you and I both fell in love with in the Jurassic Park films. But yes, to this day, these kind of sightings continue. There's debate, though, as to what these creatures are. Could they truly be, in this case, a long-lost dinosaur? Could they be from the velociraptors themselves? Could they be misinterpreted, a new breed, something like an emu-like creature that, due to the harsh conditions of the desert, just rarely gets seen because there's so few people there? It's very, very hard to describe. There's even the notion that people believe that all these sightings are nothing more than a hoax, but it's kind of hard to throw that away, because it's kind of hard to accept that, because then you would have to consider that there's so many people that have seen this creature, all of them again showcasing the same characteristics. The closest thing that people would tie this to would be this is a hard dinosaur name to say, but apparently it's a living dromaeosauridae, and you're looking at an interpretation of it here. So this could be, in this case, the thing itself that survived all these millions of years from the dinosaur days. So that's the closest interpretation of what it could actually be, rather than, let's say, a descendant or something else of a raptor itself. Who knows what's actually out there in Chile if you happen to go to the Atacama desert. But if you do so, and you happen to be in a fortunate spot to see these creatures, then you'd be looking at, what I believe believed to be real-life dinosaurs. And again, very, very exciting to see something along those lines. Almost as exciting as the Budanjor, like when I remember the information on that, where people would hear its roar in the far distance, and it would just make me just crazy, wondering, yes, that there's a T-Rex-like creature out there. Here, you would get its close, vicious cousin, in this case being a velociraptor. But that's pretty much it. That's all the info associated with this Arica monster. Anything else that anybody has that I might have missed, something that stands out that's pretty important, please post those comments below. How exciting would you guys be if you had a chance to see something like this out there in this world? Imagine if you're traveling across the desert and then you see these bipedal creatures that look no doubt like a raptor. It would be absolutely something that people would enjoy. I guess the closest we have to this day, interestingly enough, remains, I think it's the ostrich. Even itself, is that right? Is that the closest descendant to the dinosaurs, or is there another type of creature out there? But imagine like an ostrich, but without any feathers, without anything on it, just pure skin, and then the way it walks, the way it runs, then you would have a close look at a living raptor, or the closest thing thereafter. But imagine, in other words, if there was truly, in this case, an Arica monster around, how exciting would that be? So, alright everybody, thanks again as always, take care.